Hello, everyone. I want to start with this piece from BBC in which Trump says Ukraine is more difficult to deal with than Russia. Why do you think that is, Donald? Why do you think that is? Could it have something to do with the fact that you want to hand Russia everything it wants on a silver platter with maybe a cherry on top and maybe even tied with a pink bow? Could that be it? While Ukraine is fighting for its existence as a nation, as a people, could that be that Russia is easier to deal with because it's got literally nothing to lose of its own? Just asking. And yes, Ukraine is committed to constructive dialogue, but notice that word, constructive. How the fuck do you even have a constructive dialogue with the likes of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin? They don't even know how to spell that word, Trump particularly. Of course, we have that meeting coming up with U.S. representatives in Saudi Arabia, and here is the thing. So it's going to be with U.S. representatives, not with Trump himself in the room. So perhaps it could be more constructive and more productive. Also, I know that Macron and Keir Starmer are both entertaining the idea of going with Zelensky so that the U.S. delegation couldn't gang up on him, and to observe that everything is fair and square. And between those two, they are very good debaters. I must say, better than Zelensky, just because they have a different style of being a politician, and they, to some extent, have different experience of being a politician. So between the three of them, I think they make a very good negotiating team. But we'll see. This is on NBC News website. They get it right occasionally. Notice this is very, very telling. In a Russian border region scarred by war, civilians want peace with Ukraine but not compromise. Does that sound familiar to you? So we go back to the whole not all Russians discussion. Like, not all Russians support Putin, not all Russians support the war, not all Russians think that this was the right thing to do, invading Ukraine. Yeah. But where are they? They're either dead or imprisoned or they're abroad, which those who are abroad, I can't blame them for 1 second. So in all three cases, dead, imprisoned, or exiled, it's kind of hard influencing Russian public opinion. And the fact that these people in particular, in a border region, are saying, well, yeah, we want the war to end, but we don't want to compromise with Ukraine, like, they're not learning that lesson. Because if anybody here used common sense, what we would like to hear from them is, we want the war to end, and yeah, this war was bullshit. It's being waged at the cost to ordinary Russian people, while Putin continues to live in his palace. We are suffering. That would be a good answer. Even if they admitted, you know what, I don't know how to end this, but I want this to end because this is just stupid. That would be a good answer. But the answer they're giving is something else entirely. Yes, war is bad, and, they're blaming it on Ukraine because Ukraine refuses to surrender. To me, that is strongly similar to how American law enforcement deals with sexual assault victims, when instead of asking about the perpetrator, they say, what were you wearing? Where were you walking? How much makeup did you have on? And so on and so forth. Victim blaming. The last but not the least, Russia is full of shit. Does this, again, look like the act of a country who wants peace? Does it? 20 people were killed in a Russian strike last night. And now US refused to share satellite imagery with Ukraine. Oh, I guess we'll have to get other satellite imagery. We'll have to get it from the UK and France. There are enough satellites up there to, fill in the holes. But that is such an horrible, underhanded thing to do. And again, I have a feeling that long term, this is going to harm US more than it's going to harm anybody else. Short term, yes, this is detrimental to Ukraine. I am sure at this time, Ukraine is working with other allies to determine how are we going to fix this? How are we going to close the information hole? Meanwhile, notice the strategy used by Russia. Once again, they use that double tap approach they've used in the past, where they struck this town of Dobropilya once as the rescue workers rushed in to help. They struck again. How shitty is that? What kind of an absolute bastard do you have to do something like that? And again, this is not a military object. They're going to say it is, but it isn't. This is civilians. We're talking about civilians, and we're talking about rescue workers trying to help civilians. Anybody who believes Russia is ready for peace and easy to deal with is delusional. More to come.